Welcome, everyone, to the deep dive. Today, we're embarking on a truly profound journey into ancient wisdom.
That's right.
But don't worry, we're not just, reading through dusty text. We're hoping to give you a bit of a shortcut to some profound insights that are perhaps surprisingly incredibly relevant to your life right here, right now.
Indeed. We're taking a deep dive into Surah Saba today. It's the 34th chapter of the Quran.
Right?
And it's a Meccan surah, so revealed in Mecca, 54 verses in total. And the historical context is actually quite significant.
Oh, so?
Well, it was revealed during a particularly challenging period in the Prophet Muhammad's mission. This wasn't a time, characterized by outright tyrannical persecution, yet that came later.
Okay.
But it was marked by this relentless barrage of ridicule, mockery, and frankly, false allegations from the disbelievers in Mecca.
I can only imagine trying to convey a universal transformative message when you're constantly being belittled, dismissed, maybe accused of making it all up. It's not just about physical threat at that point. It feels like a profound psychological and social warfare, almost.
That's a good way to put it. And it's precisely in this crucible of persistent skepticism that Surah Saba emerges. It really addresses these specific doubts head on.
And that really defines our mission statement for this deep dive, doesn't it?
I think so. The surah's core purpose seems to be to systematically address and, refute those common objections, those persistent doubts raised by the disbelievers.
Okay. And what were the main sticking points for them?
They primarily revolved around three fundamental messages. First, the absolute oneness of God, or tawhid.
Which was a radical concept then?
Absolutely. Second, the certainty of the hereafter, life after death, judgment. Many found that incredibly difficult to accept.
Still do, I suppose.
True. And finally, the authenticity of the Prophet Muhammad's own mission, which they constantly questioned and undermined.
So, tawhid, hereafter, prophethood. The core tenets.
The absolute core.
What's truly masterful about this surah, from what I've read, isn't just its message, but its brilliant structure. It seems really deliberate.
Oh, definitely. It begins by laying down this solid, almost undeniable theological foundation, setting the stage.
Right.
Then it pivots brilliantly. It presents two incredibly contrasting historical precedents.
Like case studies.
Sort of, yeah. First, you get the shining, exemplary lives of the prophets David and Solomon, showing how blessings should be received, gratitude in action.
Okay.
And then immediately after, you get the sobering, cautionary tale of the people of Saba, illustrating the, catastrophic consequences of ingratitude.
Wow, that's a stark contrast.
It really is. And it all wraps up by confronting those false claims directly, dismantling them piece by piece, and painting a very vivid, indeed quite terrifying, picture of ultimate divine judgment.
So, from this incredible journey through Surah Saba, what are we hoping to extract? What are the key takeaways for the listener, for you?
Well, I think we're going to extract some truly timeless and universal lessons. We'll explore the profound virtue of gratitude shukr in Arabic and how it really underpins everything.
Okay.
We'll confront the very real danger of arrogance, of taking things for granted. Ingratitude,
Which connects to the Saba story.
directly.
Mm-hmm.
We'll also reevaluate what truly constitutes success in the eyes of the Creator. Spoiler. It's not just wealth and status.
Mm-hmm.
And finally, we'll solidify our understanding of the irrefutable reality of divine justice.
And these aren't just like historical anecdotes or abstract theological points.
Not at all. They're presented as universal principles designed to shape your own life, your worldview, and your understanding of your place in the grand scheme of things. They're meant to be lived.
Okay, let's get into it then. Section 1 seems to be about setting the stage, laying down this grand blueprint of faith, verses 1 to 9, 1 setting the stage, the grand blueprint of faith, verses 1 to 9. So let's unpack this opening. It really does set the tone, doesn't it? It commences with this majestic proclamation: all praise is for Allah, to whom belongs whatever is in the heavens and whatever is on the earth.
Alhamdulillahi la ilaha ma fi samawati wa ma fil ard. A powerful opening.
Now, the Arabic word hamd, we often translate it as praise, but you mentioned gratitude earlier. It seems richer than just praise. Tell us about that nuance. Why is it so incredibly central right at the start?
You've hit on a critical point there. Hamd isn't just passive admiration. It carries this inherent dual meaning. Praise, yes, acknowledging perfection and majesty, but also profound active gratitude. Thankfulness for blessings received.
So it's both recognizing greatness and acknowledging dependence.
Exactly. And this opening isn't just a declaration, it's a foundational argument. When the surah states, all praise is for Allah, to whom belongs whatever is in the heavens and whatever is on the earth, it's laying down an unshakable premise.
Okay, the premise is total ownership.
Total ownership.
Yep.
And the logical conclusion, which the surah implies is sort of undeniable, is that since Allah is the sole and ultimate owner, the originator, the sustainer of everything.
From galaxies down to atoms.
Right, from the cosmic scale to the most intricate life form. It inevitably follows that he alone is deserving of all praise, all adoration, and all that profound gratitude we talked about.
Because he owns it all and he gave it all.
Precisely. Every manifestation of beauty, every instance of perfection, every flicker of wisdom you witness in the universe is a testament to his singular magnificence. And this naturally extends to every blessing an individual receives, no matter how big or seemingly small.
So our gratitude isn't just like being polite.
Not at all. It's a fundamental recognition of this ultimate ownership and bestowal. It's a complete self-contained theological statement right there in verse 1. It immediately dismantles any notion of partnership in divinity.
Which was crucial in Mecca at the time.
Absolutely crucial. It sets the stage perfectly for refuting the polytheism that was rampant. It compels you, the listener, to constantly reevaluate where your blessings come from and direct your heart's acknowledgement accordingly.
That's a powerful distinction, and it doesn't stop there, does it? This isn't just for this life. The verse adds, and praise be to him in the hereafter. Walahul hamdu fil akhirah.
Yes.
What's the profound significance of extending this hamd beyond our worldly existence? What does that tell us about God's blessings and our obligation?
It's a testament to the perpetual, the unending nature of both his beneficence and our obligation of gratitude. It implies that his blessings aren't confined to our temporary worldly existence.
No, okay.
They are eternal, extending into the hereafter, where believers will continue to experience his boundless favors in ways we can't even imagine now. So our gratitude, our hamd, must also be perpetual and unending. It's not a temporary contract.
And the following verses seem to build on this. They bring in his attributes.
They do. They powerfully reinforce this foundation by detailing Allah's perfect attributes. He is the all-wise, all-aware, wa huwal hakimul kabir.
Not just titles, right?
Definitely not just titles. It signifies that every single one of his actions, every command, every judgment, every provision is rooted in flawless wisdom and complete comprehensive knowledge. There are no accidents, no oversights, no arbitrary decrees in his design. Everything has a purpose, even if we don't see it immediately.
And it gets even more specific about his knowledge. The text gives these almost cosmic examples, stating that he knows whatever goes into the earth and whatever comes out of it and whatever descends from the sky and whatever ascends into it. That's an incredibly detailed scope. Seen, unseen, micro, macro. How is this profound, comprehensive knowledge connected back to his exclusive right to hamd, to praise and gratitude, and to the surah's overall message?
Well, this detailed description isn't just about showing off omniscience, It's a strategic foundation. For true gratitude, real hamd, to exist, it has to be deeply rooted in the recognition of an all-wise, all-aware creator. One who meticulously orchestrates every single blessing, every provision, every tiny nuance of our existence.
So it's not just generic thanks for good things.
Exactly. Consider this. If you truly believe Allah knows every leaf that falls, every drop of rain, every seed that sprouts, and by extension, every thought you have, every need, every whisper of your heart, then your gratitude becomes something much deeper. It's a conscious, profound acknowledgement of an infinitely precise and personal providence.
That makes sense.
The disbelievers of Mecca, by rejecting Allah's sole sovereignty, inevitably misattributed their blessings. They thanked idols or luck or their own efforts exclusively. Their spiritual downfall really began right there in misplacing gratitude because they failed to grasp the boundless, intricate knowledge of their Creator.
And the implication for the listener today?
It means that true, sincere gratitude isn't some vague, superficial feeling. It's a profound recognition of an active, meticulous divine hand in every single good thing in your life. From the breath you just took to the opportunities you receive, it creates this constant personal connection. It's a reminder.
Okay. So if Allah's all-wise, all-aware, overseeing every single particle with such meticulous precision, what's the natural, logical next step in this divine framework he's laid out? What's the purpose of all this creation and provision? Where does it lead?
Well, it leads directly, almost inevitably, to the principle of divine justice. This is a Absolutely central theme of the Surah. And it serves as a direct, compelling answer to those disbelievers' doubts about accountability.
They doubted there would be any consequences.
Many did, yes. So these verses, verses 4 and 5, articulate that this life is fundamentally a test, a period of trial and choice, and that a time for the fulfillment of perfect justice must come. It has to.
And the Surah spells out the outcomes.
Very clearly, it differentiates them, providing a stark contrast. On one hand, those who believe and do righteous good deeds, faith in action, they are promised forgiveness and generous provision.
Okay, reward.
And on the other hand, those who strive against our ayat to frustrate them, meaning those who actively try to hinder or negate Allah's signs and message, who work against the truth,
Right.
they will face a severe, painful torment, athabun min rizin alim, a punishment described as both severe and agonizing.
That's a stark contrast indeed. And it taps into something deeply innate within us, doesn't it? This profound human yearning for fairness, for justice. But given how often that desire feels unfulfilled in our transient world, we see injustice all the time. How does the Quranic emphasis on divine justice in the hereafter provide not just a promise, but almost a logical necessity for this whole framework of faith?
That's a crucial point you raise. The very fabric of our moral consciousness, you can say, cries out for ultimate accountability.
Mhm.
If we observe the pervasive injustice in this world, the righteous suffering, the oppressor seeming to flourish with impunity, and we still believe in an all-wise, all-aware creator.
Something's missing.
Exactly. Then the hereafter shifts from being merely a promise to becoming a theological imperative. It's the necessary balancing act. It's where the scales are perfectly balanced, where every action, every intention is weighed with absolute divine precision.
So it completes the picture of a just God.
Precisely. This isn't just about punishment either. It's about the restoration of fundamental fairness, providing that missing piece of the cosmic puzzle that our souls instinctively seek. It reassures you, that no good deed goes unnoticed and no wrong is left unaddressed. It fulfills that deep human longing for true and perfect justice. Without it, the universe, as described by an all-wise, all-aware God, would feel incomplete, unjust even.
Right. Which brings us to a really pivotal moment in the surah, verses 6 through 9. Here it directly confronts the disbelievers' core skepticism about the hereafter. Specifically, their mocking assertion, the hour will never come to us. La tatina sa'a. How does the Quranic response so powerfully and so definitively counter such blatant doubt?
The response is immediate, direct, absolute, and unequivocal. It's a command to the prophet. Say, yes, by my Lord, the knower of the unseen, it will certainly come to you.
Invoking God's name and a specific attribute.
Exactly. And the use of the attribute, knower of the unseen, is particularly powerful and deliberate here. It's not just a generic affirmation of certainty. It highlights that while the exact timing of the hour is known only to Allah, it's part of the unseen knowledge, the gaib, which is beyond human grasp.
Right. No one knows when.
Its coming is an absolute, undeniable certainty. It asserts divine knowledge as the ultimate proof, a realm beyond human or even jinn comprehension. It essentially tells the disbelievers, your skepticism stems from your limited perception, your ignorance of the unseen, not from any flaw in the promise itself.
Okay, so the certainty is absolute, even if the timing isn't revealed. And a major part of their skepticism, as you mentioned, was about the recreation of bodies after death. The whole how can scattered bones and dust become a living person again argument. Many people, even today, might find that hard to grasp. How does the Surah refute that specific, very physical doubt with such conviction?
This raises an important, very practical question they had. And the text provides a profound answer by reminding them, again, of Allah's all-encompassing knowledge. It continues, not an atom's weight is hidden from him in the heavens or the earth, nor anything smaller or larger than that, but is in a perfect record. La yazubu anhu mithqalu daratin fi samawati wala fil ardi wala asgaru min dalika wala illa fi kitabim mubin.
An atom's weight. Even smaller or larger. That's comprehensive.
Utterly comprehensive. The argument is brilliantly simple, yet completely devastating to their doubt. For the one who knows the precise location and state of every single particle in existence, from the largest star down to the smallest subatomic component, and maintains a perfect, clear record, kitabim mubin, of them all.
Then recreating a body.
Recreating a body from scattered particles is no challenge whatsoever. It's presented as a trivial matter for such an omniscient power. If every molecule, every fragment, is already perfectly cataloged and known, then reassembly is simply a matter of bringing existing data points, if you will, back together according to the original blueprint he already possesses.
It's almost like imagining if you had perfect, infinite knowledge of every single molecule in the entire universe, every position, every property, every interaction. Reassembling anything, no matter how complex or dispersed it became, would be, well, trivial for you.
Exactly.
But of course, this is just an analogy to try and grasp Allah's power. His knowledge is infinitely, incomprehensibly greater than that.
Precisely. The analogy just helps us conceptualize the sheer scale of his knowledge and capability. Our human limitations make resurrection seem impossible, but for Allah, it aligns perfectly with his attributes of being all-wise, al-Hakim, and all-aware, al-Kabir, which were established right at the beginning of the surah. It all ties together.
Okay. Then the surah pivots slightly. It challenges them to reflect on their own surroundings, asking, "See they not what is before them and what is behind them, of the heaven and the earth? أَفَلَمْ يَرَوْا إِلَىٰ مَا بَيْنَ أَيْدِيهِمْ وَمَا خَلْفَهُم مِّنَ السَّمَاءِ وَالْأَرْضِ." What is the profound significance of this call to direct observation? Looking at the natural world around them, how does that tie back to Allah's knowledge and power and the hereafter?
This is a really powerful rhetorical move. It's a call for deep consideration, for tadabbur, of the natural signs, ayat, of Allah's power that surround them every single day, signs they probably took for granted.
Like the sky, the earth.
Yes. The same immense power that flawlessly created the earth and the heavens, that meticulously sustains them in perfect balance, the very things they see and experience daily, that same power can just as easily cause the earth to swallow them whole, or a piece of the sky to fall upon them. The verse mentions these possibilities.
So it's a subtle warning, hidden in a call to observe.
It's both observation and warning. It serves as an irrefutable sign for those who are receptive to truth, those whose hearts are open, munibin, those willing to turn to Allah in repentance. The implication is crystal clear. If you can witness the undeniable majesty and intricate order of creation all around you, how can you possibly doubt the Creator's power to bring about the hereafter or to exact justice? It makes their denial seem illogical in the face of overwhelming evidence.
So this whole foundational section, verses 1 to 9, really lays the essential theological groundwork, doesn't it? Establishing Allah's absolute sovereignty, his comprehensive knowledge, his perfect justice.
Exactly. It sets the stage perfectly for the practical examples and the stark cautionary tales that follow, showing these very principles: sovereignty, knowledge, justice, gratitude, consequences in action in human history. 2. The test of abundance. Gratitude versus arrogance in action. Verses 10-21.
Okay, so having established this magnificent blueprint of faith built on ultimate praise, divine knowledge, and inevitable justice, the surah doesn't just leave these as abstract concepts, does it?
Not at all. That's the beauty of its structure.
It brilliantly brings them to life through these compelling narratives, showing us what happens when humanity is put to the test, specifically the test of abundance.
Right. How do people react when given great blessings?
And it begins with a shining example of profound gratitude in action. The story of Prophet David, or Dawood. The verses detail grace from us, fadlan minna, bestowed upon him. What specific blessings and extraordinary miracles was he given? And how do they exemplify the proper response to divine favor?
Prophet David received immense divine favor. It included not only prophethood, guiding people spiritually, but also kingship, giving him worldly authority. So he had both.
Spiritual and temporal power combined.
Yes. And beyond that, he was granted truly extraordinary miracles. Allah commanded the mountains and the birds to glorify him with David.
So they sang praises along with him.
That's how it's understood. Not merely an echo, but a unique, miraculous phenomenon where creation itself actively joined him in praising God. It's an astonishing display of divine control over nature, specifically given to elevate and affirm his prophet.
Incredible. But perhaps the most famous miracle associated with him in this surah is the softening of iron. Wa alana lahul hadid.
That's right.
Describe that for us. What exactly does softening of iron mean? The classical tafsir sources, the commentaries, they give some amazing details, don't they?
They really do. Classical interpretations clarify that this was a direct miracle. Allah made iron, this hard, unyielding metal, as soft as wax or dough in Prophet David's hands.
Wow, just like that.
Just like that. Imagine it for a moment. This mighty king, this revered prophet, literally shaping metal with his bare hands. No furnace needed, no bellows, no heavy hammer. It's almost mind-boggling to picture.
It really is. But what was the profound purpose behind this incredible, almost supernatural ability? It wasn't just for show or for personal grandeur, was it?
No, definitely not. The Surah specifies the purpose. Make perfect coats of mail. Animal sabikatin wa qadir fisard. Strong, protective chainmail armor, interlocking rings, perfectly crafted.
For defensive warfare.
Exactly.
Wow.
To protect his soldiers, his people, in battle. This divine gift was a means to empower his community, to ensure their safety and security. It was practical, purposeful.
So this wasn't for idleness or luxury then. It actually speaks to the dignity of labor, doesn't it? Even for a prophet blessed with such miracles, he was actively engaged in a craft, a trade.
Precisely. This exemplifies a crucial principle embedded in the story. Divine favor, even at the highest levels like prophethood and kingship combined with miracles, is not meant for idleness or self-indulgence.
Well, it's a responsibility.
It's a responsibility and a means to engage in righteous, productive work that serves humanity and strengthens faith. David's divinely aided ability to craft armor highlights that even a king and a prophet is expected to be productive, to contribute tangibly to society, and to utilize their unique gifts for the greater good.
And the verse concludes with the command.
Yes, a command directly linked to this. Work you men righteousness. Truly, I am all seer of what you do. Wamalu salihan ini bima tamaluna basir.
So it links the craft, the duties, directly to accountability before Allah.
Absolutely. It reinforces that all sincere labor, when performed with gratitude and good intention, is itself an act of worship, ibadah, and a path to spiritual elevation. Allah is watching. He sees the effort and the intention.
Okay, so that's Prophet David, an amazing example of using blessings productively and righteously. Then the surah takes us even further into the realm of divine favor, illustrating how his son, Prophet Solomon, or Suleiman, was blessed with an even more expansive and frankly astonishing measure of power and dominion.
Yes, Solomon's kingdom was legendary.
Prophet Solomon was granted truly immense power. Allah subjected the wind and even the jinn to his command. How incredible was the speed of the wind he controlled? What did that allow him to achieve?
Prophet Solomon's control over the elements, particularly the wind, was truly astonishing. The verse describes its journey. Its morning course was a month's journey, and its evening course was a month's journey. Guduha sharun wa rawahuha shar.
A month's journey in a morning, and another month's in an evening.
That's the description. Imagine the logistical advantage. This enabled incredibly rapid travel and unprecedented control over vast distances. He could traverse empires in mere hours, far beyond anything conceivable at the time or even for centuries after. It was like having a private supernatural air travel system.
Unbelievable. And the jinn, they worked for him too.
Yes, the jinn also worked for him, explicitly under Allah's permission, bi-idhni Rabbi. They undertook immense building projects, things beyond human capacity. They created everything from high rooms, maharib, statues, tamathil, to massive basins like reservoirs, jifan and kaljawab, and heavy cauldrons fixed in place, kuduriya rasyat.
So they were builders, artisans.
Builders, artisans, divers, they excavated, constructed, dove for pearls, whatever Solomon commanded, all under Allah's authority. A supernatural workforce.
Okay, so despite this immense, almost unfathomable power and dominion controlling the wind, commanding jinn, incredible wealth from a fount of molten copper, quits, also mentioned, despite all that, the command given to the family of David was the same, wasn't it?
Exactly the same. Work gratefully, O family of David. Aimalu ala dawida shukra. The core message remains. Gratitude expressed through righteous action.
But then there's this really sobering qualifier right after that command. The verse adds, only a few of my servants are truly grateful. What does that tell us? Even for those blessed with so much, gratitude seems to be a rare quality.
It's a truly profound and perhaps slightly chilling insight into human nature, isn't it? It reveals that gratitude, shukr, is actually a rare and exceptionally difficult virtue to maintain consistently. Especially, perhaps paradoxically, when one is blessed with immense power and tangible favors.
Why is that? You'd think more blessings would equal more gratitude.
You might think so, but prosperity and ease often lead to heedlessness, ghafla, or worse, arrogance or a sense of entitlement, rather than heightened thankfulness. It becomes easy to forget the source of the blessings when they flow so abundantly, or to attribute them solely to one's own efforts or genius.
That makes sense. It becomes the new normal.
It can. So this statement, only a few of my servants are truly grateful, serves as a powerful challenge to us all, to you, the listener. We have to constantly examine our own hearts to ensure that our blessings, whatever they are, don't become a veil obscuring our recognition of the giver. It's a reminder that true spiritual wealth lies in this inner disposition of gratitude, shukr, regardless of our external circumstances.
And the story of Solomon's death, as mentioned in the Surah, holds another crucial, almost ironic life lesson. It's specifically about the limits of knowledge, particularly knowledge of the unseen, the gaib. The jinn, with all their supposed supernatural abilities, were completely unaware of his passing for a long, long time.
It's a fascinating detail.
What does that teach us? It paints an almost darkly comedic image, doesn't it?
It is quite striking, almost darkly comedic, as you say. Imagine these powerful, often arrogant, supernatural beings, the jinn, slaving away, building these monumental structures, utterly convinced they're still under the watchful eye and command of a living king, only for a tiny creature, a termite, to reveal their profound ignorance. The text states that absolutely nothing indicated Solomon's passing to the jinn who were toiling away for him, except the termites eating away his staff. He was leaning on his staff, apparently deceased, and they didn't know.
For how long?
The text implies it was for a significant period. They continued their humiliating servitude, completely oblivious that their master was dead, until finally the staff gave way and his body fell. And
then they realized.
Only then did they realize their mistake, and, more importantly, their ignorance. It dramatically demonstrates that knowledge of the unseen, Kabe, belongs exclusively and solely to Allah. It's a powerful refutation of anyone, whether jinn or human, who claims independent knowledge of the future or of hidden matters.
So the jinn's profound ignorance, despite their perceived abilities, despite working with unseen forces themselves, serves as a powerful message. Even the most supernatural amongst creation cannot peer into the truly hidden realms controlled only by God.
Absolutely. Their eventual realization of their own ignorance and the humiliating labor they endured because of it serves as a metaphorical humbling. It's a clear sign that reliance on anything other than Allah's revealed truth is a path to futility and self-deception. It underscores that even the most powerful creatures known in the unseen realm do not possess this ultimate knowledge of Gabe.
So this narrative firmly establishes that boundary again between the created and the creator, making it clear that only Allah possesses perfect knowledge of the unseen, a recurring theme.
A very important one.
Okay, so we've seen these incredible examples of active, productive gratitude in the face of immense blessings through the stories of David and Solomon. Now, as you mentioned earlier, the surah gives us the exact opposite side of the coin, the cautionary tale, the people of Saba.
Yes, the contrast is stark and intentional.
What kind of land and blessings did they live in? You said it wasn't some barren desert. It was supposed to be a veritable paradise, wasn't it?
Oh, far from barren. They lived in a truly blessed, incredibly prosperous civilization in Yemen, located in what was historically known as Arabia Felix, Fortunate Arabia.
Fortunate Arabia, okay.
The surah describes them as having 2 gardens on the right and on the left, Janatani and Yaminin wa Shimal. This isn't necessarily literal, but signifies their land was just covered in lush, fertile greenery, abundant agriculture stretching out on both sides.
And this was thanks to engineering.
In large part, yes. This prosperity was supported by the famous engineering marvel of the Great Dam of Marib, an ancient dam, incredibly sophisticated for its time, that channeled seasonal rains, the Sail, to irrigate vast swaths of land, providing an incredibly fertile and temperate environment.
So they had food security, wealth,
favorable climate. They were granted, as the surah says, a fair land and an oft-forgiving Lord, Baldatin tayyibatun wa rabbun ghafur. Truly, every imaginable reason to be thankful and obedient, to recognize the source of their incredible abundance, they had it all.
One could almost picture, like you said, an almost paradisiacal existence. Lush gardens, secure trade routes mentioned elsewhere, abundance all around, a stable, comfortable life.
Exactly. It was an environment such ease and plenty, a constant, reliable flow of provisions that must have felt like a paradise on earth, a clear and undeniable manifestation of divine favor. They had perfect weather, secure journeys between their towns, abundant food.
Yet, despite all this,
they turned away. Fa'adu. They turned away from obedience, from gratitude. They squandered their blessings, became arrogant, and chose blatant ingratitude and disbelief.
And what was the devastating consequence of that choice? This wasn't just like a minor setback or a bad harvest year, was it?
No, it was catastrophic.
Yeah.
A full-scale, civilization-ending collapse. As a direct result of their ingratitude and disobedience, bima kafaro, Allah sent against them the Sail Alarim.
The flood of the dam.
The flood of the dam, exactly. This wasn't just any flood. It was a legendary cataclysmic event, historically documented and remembered in Arabian tradition. The Great Dam of Marib, the very engineering marvel that sustained their prosperity, was deliberately breached by divine decree. Maybe through natural means, like rodents weakening it, as some traditions say, or a direct command. Either way, the source of their blessing became the source of their destruction.
So it wasn't just a random natural disaster in the Quranic narrative?
No, it's presented as specific, targeted retribution. It became a byword for utter destruction in ancient Arab lore. Their lush gardens, once producing abundant, diverse fruits, were replaced, the surah says, with barren land producing only bitter bad fruit, tamarisks, and some few lote trees. Doata Yukalan Kamtin was Athlin, Washaymin Sidrin Khalil.
A complete reversal.
A complete, devastating reversal of their blessings. A stark, physical manifestation of their spiritual decay, and a direct, proportional requital for their deep-seated ingratitude.
And the pinnacle of their arrogance, their spiritual sickness, is captured in what really is a bizarre, almost incomprehensible request they made, despite already having secure and easy travel routes between their cities' routes that were literally blessed for safety and convenience.
Yes, the Quran mentions elsewhere how safe their travel was.
They complained and actually asked their Lord, make the stages of our journeys longer. Rabbana Ba'id, Baya Asfarina. What on earth does that tell us about their spiritual state? That's like actively asking for difficulty. It's profound self-sabotage.
It truly is an astonishing act of wronging themselves. Wadalu anfusahum, as the surah puts it. It wasn't just passive ingratitude or simply ignoring blessings anymore. It was an active, profound rejection of the ease and convenience Allah had provided.
Why would anyone do that?
It suggests their ungratefulness reached such a pathological level, such a psychological and spiritual low, that they actively desired difficulty over ease. They sought to complicate the very blessings that facilitated their lives, maybe out of boredom, maybe arrogance, maybe just a complete disconnect from reality and the value of ease.
It reveals a deeply diseased mindset.
A deeply diseased psychological and spiritual state, yes. One consumed by entitlement and a perverse rejection of divine generosity. It's this desire for friction where there was flow, for hardship where there was ease. And it inevitably leads to self-inflicted ruin because they were actively fighting against their own well-being and the natural order of divine provision. They couldn't appreciate ease, so it was taken away.
So, the punishment, the flood, and the scattering really was a direct and proportional consequence of their actions and their incredibly distorted mindset. It left them as a permanent warning sign.
Absolutely. Allah reduced them to cautionary tales, a hadith, and scattered them utterly. That is Their once great civilization was completely destroyed, remembered only in stories, and their people were dispersed across the land, fragmented.
And this dispersal is historically noted.
Yes, this event is historically attested to, and hadith narrations, sayings attributed to Prophet Muhammad, trace the origins of various later dispersed Arab tribes back to the people of Saba, signifying this great scattering after the dam burst. Their legacy became a stark, enduring reminder of what happens when a society, despite immense blessings, turns its back on gratitude and chooses arrogance instead.
So the deeper life lesson from this narrative for you, the listener today, it must be incredibly profound. It clearly extends far beyond ancient history.
Oh, absolutely. The deeper life lesson is that ingratitude is an inherently self-destructive path. It's a catastrophic strategic error, both individually and collectively. The people of Saba weren't lacking in worldly blessings or defeated by external enemies initially. Their downfall came entirely from within.
From their own choices.
From their own choices. They cultivated a spiritual emptiness and arrogance that literally hollowed out their civilization from the inside. This story powerfully demonstrates that the greatest threat to a society, or indeed to an individual, is often not external adversity, but the internal corrosion of the heart that takes blessings for granted, fostering entitlement and spiritual arrogance.
So spiritual health is the real foundation.
Spiritual well-being, defined by gratitude, shukr, humility, and recognition of the divine giver, is the true and lasting foundation of any real success, whether it's personal or societal. The stark contrast drawn in this surah between the grateful prophets, David and Solomon, and the ungrateful people of Saba serves as the central pillar of its message. It highlights the dual nature of blessings. They are always a test for all of humanity. How will you respond? 3. The ultimate reckoning. Truth, deception, and destiny. verses 22 to 54.
Okay, so after those incredibly powerful historical narratives, the shining examples of David and Solomon showing gratitude and power, and the stark warning of Saba showing the devastation of ingratitude, the surah brings us full circle. It returns to the core argument of Tawhid, the absolute oneness of God.
Yes, it shifts from historical lessons back to direct theological confrontation.
Right. It seems to dismantle the very foundations of polytheism, the main issue in Mecca. It challenges the disbelievers directly, almost demanding proof. Show me those whom you have joined with him as partners. Qual arunia latina alhaktum bihi shuraka. What's the emphatic, undeniable message here for anyone tempted to seek partners or intermediaries with God?
The message is crystal clear, utterly emphatic, and leaves absolutely no room for doubt or ambiguity. The verses go on to assert that these false deities, these supposed partners whom the disbelievers worshipped or hoped in, whether they were idols carved from stone or revered ancestors or angels or even prophets mistakenly elevated, they have absolutely no power or authority whatsoever.
Not even a tiny bit.
Not even, as the surah repeats the earlier phrase, an atom's weight, mithqala daratin, of power or ownership either in the heavens or on the earth. This statement completely strips away any pretense of divinity or independent capability from anything worshipped alongside Allah. It highlights their utter impotence, their complete lack of substance.
So it's a total negation of shirk of polytheism.
A complete and comprehensive negation, from the grandest cosmic scale right down to the most infinitesimal particle. No one and nothing shares in Allah's dominion or his right to be worshipped. Period.
And the disbelievers, as we know, often held on to the hope of intercession, shafa, from these false gods or idols. They believed these intermediaries could somehow plead with Allah on their behalf. That was a common pagan belief, wasn't it?
Very common, yes. A way to try and bridge the gap, they thought.
How does the surah directly and powerfully address that specific misguided hope? Does it shatter those illusions?
Oh, completely. A profound element here is showing the utter futility of those hopes. The surah states plainly, intercession with him profits not, except for him whom he permits. وَلَا تَنْفَعُ الشَّفَاعَةُ عِنْدَهُ إِلَّا لِمَنْ أَذِنَ لَهُ.
So intercession exists, but only by his permission.
Exactly. Intercession is entirely by Allah's will and specific permission, granted only to those he chooses and for those he's pleased with. It's not some inherent power these false deities possess that they can wield independently. They have zero power to intercede against his will or without his leave.
And what happens on the day of judgment itself?
Well, that's where the illusion completely shatters. The Quran states elsewhere and implies here that on the day of judgment, when reality is starkly revealed, even those who are wrongly worshipped, say, righteous humans like Jesus or Mary or angels, they will actively disavow their former followers. They will affirm their own loyalty to Allah alone, leaving their worshippers utterly abandoned, without any advocate, precisely in their moment of greatest need.
Wow. That's a terrifying moment of realization for those who place their hope elsewhere.
It would be the ultimate betrayal of false hope.
So for the listener, the implication of this section, verses 22 through 30, is quite unequivocal, isn't it? It really leaves no room for ambiguity about the path to salvation.
It is absolutely unequivocal. This section makes it crystal clear that the only path to salvation, the only reliable source of help, and the only intercession permitted by Allah comes through pure monotheism, Tawhid, through complete unadulterated reliance on Allah alone.
No shortcuts, no intermediaries.
No shortcuts, no unauthorized intermediaries. Any deviation from this core principle, any hope placed in created beings, any attempt to bridge the gap to God through worshiping anything other than him is utterly unfounded, a dangerous delusion, and will prove entirely fruitless in the end. It's a call to purify one's faith completely and direct all worship, all hope, all reliance to the one who truly possesses all power and all authority.
Okay, this brings us to another crucial point the surah tackles: deception. Specifically, it exposes the role of Iblis, or Satan. What was his true role in tempting humanity, according to these verses? Was he presented as some ultimate power or rival to God, or something quite different?
Something quite different. Iblis, despite his perceived influence and his relentless whispering, waswasa, is shown to have had no true inherent authority or controlling power over humanity. وَمَا كَانَ اللَّهُ عَلَيْهِم مِّن سُلْطَانٍ. He couldn't force them.
So what was his role then?
His role, as clarified right here in Surah Saba, was merely to be a means, a tool within the divine test. His temptations served to distinguish him who believes in the hereafter from him who is in doubt about it. So
he just reveals what's already in people's hearts.
In a sense, yes. He presents temptations, he beautifies evil deeds, he whispers doubts and insecurities, but he cannot compel belief or disbelief. The choice remains entirely with the individual. Sadly, the Surah notes, echoing the earlier point about gratitude, that the majority of humanity tends to succumb to his temptations, allowing his whispers to take root and lead them astray. Only a small, steadfast group of true believers, mu'mineen, manages to recognize his deception and resist his allure.
So he's a tempter and a whisperer, not a controller. A catalyst for human choice, really.
Exactly. Not a rival power, but part of the test mechanism itself.
Now, connected to this idea of deception, a really crucial lesson is delivered here. It refutes the disbeliever's false notion, and it's a notion we still see today, that possessing wealth and children is automatically a sign of Allah's pleasure and favor, that if you're rich and have a big family, God must love you more.
Yes, that's a very pervasive human tendency, isn't it? To equate material success with moral or spiritual righteousness, even subconsciously. It's an important question the Surah addresses directly.
How does it counter that?
It counters it explicitly.
Yeah.
The Surah states, "It is not your wealth or your children that bring you nearer to us in position, but it is the closeness of he who believes and does righteous deeds."
وَمَا وَلَا أَوْلَادُكُمْ بِالَّتِي تُقَرِّبُكُمْ عِندَنَا زُلْفَىٰ إِلَّا مَنْ وَعَمِلَ صَالِحًا.
So wealth and kids don't get you closer by default. Not by default, no. This is a powerful, direct challenge to that purely worldly mindset that equates material success with spiritual favor. It's called out as a dangerous deception, one often perpetuated by Iblis and, frankly, by societal norms that glorify wealth above all else. It leads people astray from the true path.
What is the true path, then?
Real closeness to God, sufa, is earned through genuine faith, iman, combined with righteous actions. It's about your relationship with God and your deeds, not about the sheer accumulation of worldly goods or status symbols like numerous children, which were a sign of power back then.
And the stories we just discussed, the wealthy, ungrateful people of Saba who were destroyed versus the righteous, powerful prophets David and Solomon whose power led to more gratitude, they serve as perfect living parables for this theological truth, don't they? They really show it in action.
Absolutely. They couldn't be more perfect illustrations woven right into the Surah. The wealthy, ungrateful people of Saba, utterly destroyed despite their abundance, stand in stark contrast to the righteous, powerful prophets David and Solomon, whose blessings became a means to greater gratitude, productive labor for God's sake, and ultimately a closer relationship with Allah.
So the examples reinforce the theology.
Precisely. These living examples perfectly reinforce this core message about the true measure of success in God's eyes. It is not primarily what you have, but how you use what you have, and crucially, the state of your heart, whether it's grateful or arrogant.
And what about the positive side? What about giving in Allah's way or spending one's resources for good? Is there a promise made there in relation to true prosperity and what does bring one closer to Allah?
Yes, the Surah explicitly states that righteous deeds are what truly bring one closer to Allah. And specifically regarding spending for His cause, it gives a clear promise. Whatever thing you spend in His cause, He will replace it. وَمَا أَنْفَقْتُم مِّن شَيْءٍ فَهُوَ يُخْلِفُهُ. And He is the best of providers. وَهُوَ خَيْرُ الرَّازِقِينَ.
He'll replace it, how?
It implies replacement, both in this life, perhaps through unexpected blessings or making the remaining wealth more beneficial, barakah, and certainly multiplication of reward in the hereafter. This beautifully redefines what true prosperity looks like for you, the listener. It's not about hoarding wealth, but about circulating it for good, trusting that Allah will replenish and multiply it in ways that truly matter, ways that bring spiritual benefit and eternal reward far beyond mere material gain. It's presented as the wisest investment you can make.
An investment in your eternal future. Okay. Now, the Surah moves toward its conclusion, verses 46 to 54, and it concludes with a stark, almost chilling warning, leaving absolutely no ambiguity about the ultimate outcome of disbelief and denial. What's the final call to reflection given to the disbelievers? It feels like almost a last chance before the curtains fall.
It does feel like that.
Yeah.
They are warned, commanded through the prophet, say, "I advise you to do one thing only, that you stand up for Allah's sake in pairs or individually, then reflect. Koalinama, aisukum biwahida, an takumulillahi mathno wa furada thumma tatafakaru."
Stand up and reflect.
Yes. It's a final, urgent appeal, an opportunity to reconsider their stance, to step back from their biases, their tribalism, their obstinacy, and just think. Truly ponder the message of the prophet, the truth that has been presented to them, free from peer pressure or groupthink. whether in pairs, discussing it, or alone in sincere contemplation. It's a profound call to individual accountability and genuine introspection. Look at the prophet. Is he mad? Or is he bringing truth?
And then the Sutta paints this horrifying picture of the fate of the disbelievers on the Day of Judgment itself. It's a really vivid, almost atmospheric description, emphasizing the suddenness and the inescapable nature of their end.
It is vivid and terrifying. The Surah describes their horrifying fate. When they see the punishment, they will be seized from a nearby place. Kukizu me makanen karib.
From a nearby place, what does that signify?
It signifies how sudden, how unexpected, and how utterly inescapable it will be. There will be no distance to flee across, no time to prepare, no possibility of retreat. They are seized immediately, right where they stand, as it were. It paints this vivid picture of a terrifying, utterly inescapable end. Their denial and arrogance in this life will lead them directly and swiftly to their reckoning, with absolutely no possibility of turning back or finding any refuge. The atmosphere is one of absolute finality, panic, and despair.
And in that moment of absolute terror and despair, facing the reality they denied, they will finally cry out, "We do now believe in it!" Wakwalu amanabi. They'll try to accept the truth then.
Yes, they will finally acknowledge it when it's too late.
But the Sutta makes it chillingly clear that their belated faith, their desperate cry of belief at that point, will be of absolutely no avail. What's the profound lesson here about the timing of belief, about the window of opportunity that this life represents?
The lesson is stark and crucial. Their denial in this world, quod kafrobi, which the Sutta implies was based often on conjecture and disquieting denial, a deliberate, stubborn rejection of truth despite clear evidence rather than genuine ignorance or lack of understanding, will finally be met with a barrier. A prevention, wahila bainoam wabaina mayashtuno, from attaining what they now desperately desire, which is accepted faith and salvation.
They can't reach it from the hereafter.
Exactly. It's a fundamental point.
Sure.
It is utterly impossible to attain true, beneficial, accepted faith from the perspective of the hereafter. That window of opportunity, the test of belief based on the unseen, Iman Bil Gaib, exists only in this transient life.
Yeah.
Only here does faith require conviction despite the unseen, thus have merit. Once the reality of judgment is undeniable, once the veil is lifted and they see everything clearly, expressing belief has no value as a test. It's simply stating the obvious.
It's too late. The test is over.
But this is over. The time for choosing faith freely is past.
This then underscores the critical importance and the absolute finality of the choices made in your life here and now. There are no second chances for belief, no do-overs once the reality of judgment is upon us.
Precisely. It is perhaps the most powerful reminder in the Sutta's conclusion. The choices you make in this world, your attitude towards gratitude and truth, your acceptance or rejection of divine guidance, your belief in the unseen, have eternal and irreversible consequences. This life is the field for sowing, the time for action and belief. The hereafter is solely for reaping the consequences of those choices. Outro.
So as we wrap up this deep dive into Surah Saba, let's try and briefly synthesize these enduring life lessons, because they really do resonate through time, don't they?
They absolutely do.
It seems crystal clear that gratitude, shukr, isn't just, a nice-to-have emotion or a polite thank you. It's presented as absolutely central. It's the very foundation of a person's relationship with Allah, and interestingly, the key to true lasting prosperity, both spiritual and even material, in a sense.
Well said. And we saw how the Sutta, through that powerful narrative structure contrasting David and Solomon with the people of Saba, highlights the dual nature of blessings. Blessings are never neutral.
Right, whether it's prophetic miracles or immense wealth or just a fertile land to live in.
Exactly. They are fundamentally a test. They can either draw you closer to Allah through gratitude and righteous work, using them in ways He approves of, or they can become a source of arrogance, heedlessness, spiritual emptiness, and ultimately, as we saw with Saba, eventual destruction.
And the danger of that arrogance and ingratitude is laid out so starkly, not just as abstract concepts, but as forces that can literally destroy individuals and civilizations from within.
From within, exactly. And underpinning it all is the constant theme of the inevitable, absolute reality of divine justice. The assurance that there is ultimate fairness and accountability for every single choice we make. Nothing is missed.
So ultimately, the Sutta's core teaching for you, the listener, seems to be that true success, true security, real prosperity, it's not found primarily in accumulating material possessions or achieving fleeting worldly status. Is that fair?
I think that's perfectly fair. Rather, it's found in cultivating a heart that is filled with genuine gratitude. in having a mind that is grounded in the fundamental truth of Tawheed, the absolute oneness of God, and in living a life that is dedicated to righteous deeds, amal salih, done in service of the all-wise, all-aware Creator, who is the source of all blessings and the ultimate, just arbiter of our destiny.
That's a powerful summary. So, to leave you with a final thought for reflection as you go about your day, given the profound impact of gratitude and ingratitude shown so vividly throughout Surah Saba, maybe take a moment. What is just one blessing in your life right now, big or small? Something you might usually overlook that you might be taking for granted. And how could simply recognizing and consciously appreciating that one blessing, even just for a moment today, maybe shift your perspective, your mood, or your actions for the rest of your day, or perhaps even for the rest of your week? Just something to think
A
about.
valuable exercise. Thank you for joining us on the Deep Dive.
Until next time, keep exploring.